4 homes just crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, while 11 inches of snow buried beach towns. This wasn't a hurricane. This was something far more dangerous. A bomb cyclone that meteorologists are calling a Snowicane. And if you own property on the East Coast, what happened this weekend could happen to your home. Right now, 31 homes have vanished into the ocean since 2020. Charlotte just experienced its worst snowstorm in over 20 years with 11 inches of snow. Over 1,000 traffic accidents were reported in North Carolina alone. A 100-vehicle pileup shut down Interstate 85 for hours. Temperatures plunged to levels not seen since 1989, with Jacksonville hitting 22 degrees Fahrenheit. And here's what the National Weather Service isn't telling you clearly enough. This storm system is still affecting your electricity bills right now. At the 5-minute mark, I'll reveal which coastal areas are next. But first, let me explain what a bomb cyclone actually is and why this one was different. A bomb cyclone occurs when atmospheric pressure drops by at least 24 millibars in 24 hours or less. This storm's pressure drops so fast that meteorologists compared it to a Category 2 hurricane. But instead of warm tropical air, this monster fed on Arctic cold colliding with warm ocean water. The result? A perfect storm that the Carolinas haven't seen in decades. On January 31st, 2026, the storm began hammering the southeast. By Saturday evening, snowfall rates reached 1 to 2 inches per hour. Wind gusts on the Outer Banks hit 70 miles per hour. That's sustained tropical storm force winds combined with blizzard conditions. Visibility dropped to less than a quarter mile for over 3 hours straight. That's the official definition of a blizzard, folks. And it happened in North Carolina. Here's where it gets personal for homeowners and families. Charlotte Douglas International Airport recorded 11 inches of snow. That ties with a December 1,880 storm for the 4th highest snowfall on record. Think about that. 1,880. Some areas in North Carolina's mountains received up to 22.5 inches. Coastal areas like Pelletier got 19.5 inches of snow on a beach. In North Carolina, meanwhile, over 2,200 flights were canceled nationwide. 72% of all flights at Charlotte Douglas were grounded. If you had family trying to travel that weekend, they were stranded. But the storm's impact went far beyond inconvenience. On the Outer Banks, specifically in Buxton, North Carolina, 4 oceanfront homes collapsed into the Atlantic. The first home on Tower Circle Road went down early Sunday morning, February 1st. 2 more followed overnight. A 4th collapsed Monday morning at 9 a.m. These weren't shacks. These were privately owned vacation homes, built on pilings with concrete driveways, properties that families invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in. Wave heights reached 8 to 12 feet along the coast. Combined with 60 miles per hour wind gusts and high astronomical tides from the full moon, the storm surge ate away the shoreline. Homes that once had backyards full of dry sand and protective dunes are now sitting in what's called an intertidal zone. That means they're exposed at low tide but partially underwater at high tide. Don't miss the next part, because this affects your insurance rates. Since 2020, a total of 31 homes have collapsed along Hatteras Island. County officials estimate 100 more homes are at risk in the next 5 years. Each collapse sends dangerous debris spreading for miles along the beach. We're talking fiberglass insulation, fuel tanks, septic system materials, broken wood with exposed nails, and shards of metal. Cape Hatteras National Seashore closed the entire beach at Buxton and warned residents to stay away from collapse sites. The cleanup costs run into the millions. And here's the nightmare. Most homeowner insurance policies don't cover coastal erosion damage. FEMA doesn't provide assistance for private property, coastal erosion. Property owners are stuck with both the loss and the cleanup bill. Now let's talk about what was happening inland while homes collapsed on the coast. Interstate 85 near Kannapolis, just northeast of Charlotte, became a parking lot of twisted metal and terror. A massive pileup involving over 100 vehicles, including more than 24 tractor trailers, shut down the highway for hours. The North Carolina National Guard was called in to assist with rescue operations. First responders spent all night pulling stranded travelers from vehicles. And here's the critical information I promised at the 5-minute mark. The North Carolina State Highway Patrol reported 1,000 traffic accidents between Friday night and Sunday afternoon. Virginia reported over 300 crashes during the same period. At least 6 deaths in South Carolina were confirmed as storm-related, primarily from hypothermia and cold weather incidents. 2 fatalities were reported in North Carolina from traffic accidents. Governor Josh Stein declared a state of emergency and mobilized 3,000 Department of Transportation personnel for road treatment. Over 350 National Guard members were deployed with support vehicles. 9 emergency shelters opened across North Carolina for residents without power or heat, because power outages were widespread and dangerous. By Sunday evening, nearly 190,000 homes and businesses across the Southeast were without electricity. Henderson County, North Carolina, reported 2,000 outages alone. With temperatures in the low 20 seconds, losing power meant losing heat during life-threatening cold. Now here's the plot twist that connects everything together. This same bomb cyclone system pushed Arctic air all the way down to Florida, causing the worst freeze there since 1989. Jacksonville, Florida hit 22 degrees Fahrenheit, breaking the daily record. Orlando dropped to 24 degrees Fahrenheit, also a new daily record. Tampa fell to 29 degrees Fahrenheit, just shy of its all-time record. Snow flurries were reported in Tampa and Fort Myers. Snow. In Florida, the citrus industry suffered devastating damage with 8 to 10% of the current crop destroyed or severely damaged. When temperatures stay below 28 degrees Fahrenheit for more than 4 hours, citrus damage becomes inevitable. Many groves experienced temperatures in the mid-20 seconds for 3 consecutive nights. Orange juice futures dropped 12% in response to the crop damage. That means higher prices at your grocery store in the coming months. Duke Energy asked customers in Florida and North Carolina to conserve electricity to avoid blackouts. The U.S. Department of Energy authorized 7 Florida utilities to bring additional power plants online to meet demand. Mississippi, Tennessee, and Florida were the hardest hit by power failures, with over 138,000 customers in the dark. Let's talk about what this storm means for the future of coastal property. The National Park Service reports that homes in Buxton and Rodanthe now sit in areas that are regularly flooded. Properties built decades ago once had hundreds of feet of protective beach. Rising sea levels and increased storm intensity have eroded that buffer. Highway 12, the only evacuation route on Hatteras Island, is now under threat from erosion. Bobby Outen, attorney for Dare County, stated that officials estimate 100 homes could collapse in the next 5 years without intervention. Local officials are requesting state and federal funding for beach nourishment projects and shoreline stabilization efforts. But here's what every coastal property owner needs to know right now. Standard homeowners insurance does not cover damage from coastal erosion, rising seas, or beach loss. Flood insurance covers storm surge and flooding, but not erosion. If your property literally falls into the ocean, you may be responsible for the cleanup costs, which can run into hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if your debris damages neighboring properties or public beaches, you could face additional liability. Now, let's discuss the meteorological factors that made this storm so historic. The bomb cyclone formed when a shortwave trough moved into the southwestern Atlantic. On January 30th, 2026, Arctic air over the continent collided with anomalously warm ocean waters off the Carolina coast. This temperature contrast created what meteorologists call a baroclinic zone, which fueled explosive intensification. The storm's central pressure dropped more than 24 millibars in 24 hours, meeting the National Weather Service definition of a bomb cyclone. Strong pressure gradients generated sustained winds exceeding 37 miles per hour along the coast, with gusts to 70 miles per hour. Snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour, combined with these winds, created near whiteout conditions across the Carolinas. The full moon on January 31st amplified astronomical tides, and when combined with onshore winds, the result was significant coastal flooding. Meteorologists compared this event to the February 2018 bomb cyclone and the devastating freezes of 1989. This ranks among the strongest East Coast winter storms of the past decade. For residents recovering from this historic storm, here's what you need to do now. First, document all property damage with photographs and videos immediately. Contact your insurance company and file claims within the required time window. Keep all receipts for emergency repairs, hotel stays, and spoiled food. If you lost power for extended periods, check your medications and refrigerated items. Watch for frozen or burst pipes as temperatures rise this week. President Trump approved emergency declarations for 12 states, allowing them to request federal resources and expertise to protect lives and property. However, FEMA assistance for individuals and families is not currently available. Check with your state and local emergency management agencies for help. For coastal property owners, now is the time to reassess your insurance coverage. Speak with your agent about what is and isn't covered in coastal erosion scenarios. Consider whether additional flood insurance or umbrella liability coverage makes sense for your situation. If you own property on barrier islands or areas experiencing erosion, consult with local authorities about beach nourishment programs and setback requirements. Stay informed about National Weather Service forecasts and warnings year-round. A NOAA weather radio can alert you to warnings 24 hours a day. Sign up for wireless emergency alerts on your phone through your local authorities. Download the FEMA mobile app for real-time emergency information. Here's what weather experts are watching for the coming weeks. AccuWeather's long-range forecast team is monitoring a potential polar vortex disruption in early February that could bring another cold blast. A second push of Arctic air may arrive between February 9th and 11th. There's a 10% chance temperatures could fall to 27 degrees Fahrenheit or lower in Orlando or Tampa again. In citrus-growing areas, there's a 15% chance for another freeze. Warmer conditions are expected for Florida starting in late February, but persistent drought and below-average rainfall this spring could elevate wildfire risk across the state. For the Carolinas, secondary roads and city streets may remain blocked for days as crews focus on clearing major highways. Schools in affected areas may be closed for an extended period. This bomb cyclone, this Snowicane, reminded Americans that winter storms can be just as dangerous as hurricanes. 4 families watched their homes disappear into the Atlantic Ocean. Thousands of travelers were stranded at airports or stuck on frozen highways. Florida citrus growers lost millions of dollars in crops overnight. At least 8 people lost their lives in storm-related incidents. But Americans did what they always do. They helped each other. First responders worked through the night rescuing stranded motorists. National Guard members deployed to assist their neighbors in need. Volunteers organized cleanup efforts on debris-covered beaches. Shelters opened their doors to those without power or heat. The next major winter storm could form at any time during this season. Stay informed. Protect your loved ones. Check on elderly neighbors. Keep emergency supplies ready. Water, non-perishables, batteries, medications. Know your evacuation routes and have your go bag prepared. Because when the National Weather Service issues warnings, they mean it. This historic bomb cyclone proved that winter weather is not something to take lightly in America today. Watch for our next update on the developing polar vortex situation and what it could mean for your area.